Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Hey guys, Colin the Big Yoshi here, and welcome to day something of the MCU marathon. I've honestly lost count. Today we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. And this seems to be kind of a mixed entry as well. So the premise of this movie is that the Guardians of the Galaxy have been superheroes for a while now, and after Rocket steals something from somebody, because, they're still not heroes per se, they're like still kind of anti-heroes. After he steals something, they crash land on a planet, and then they get saved by someone who claims to be Peter's dad. And then Peter learns throughout the film from him that he might be an all-powerful being called a Celestial. So I think that the best thing about this movie is that it's more character-based, and it means that every character can shine now. And it means that every character has their own little arc. They're all going through stuff, and they're all pretty sad and stuff. And let's talk about them now, along with some of the new characters. Star-Lord in this film. So the thing about him is that when he finds his dad, he starts getting kind of power. He starts going kind of power crazy, sort of, and it starts making him ignore his friends more and having more fights with his friends because of his desire to be a god and hang out with his dad. And then he also has this plot point later in the movie where he realizes that Ego killed his mom, and he gets a little upset and just shoots him in the chest. So yeah, that's fun. And then in the end he realizes that he already had a family. He already has his family, the Guardians of the Galaxy. And then they go back to being friends in the end. And then he also realizes later that Yondu was his real dad, was pretty much his dad all along. And he doesn't need Ego as his dad. Then we have Gamora. And she actually gets expanded a lot in this movie. Her dynamic with Nebula is pretty great. All of her interactions with her are great. They're kind of like a Thor and Loki situation, and that's fun. It's always fun to watch. They're fighting throughout the whole movie, but then she has this moment of reconciliation where she realizes how many times she's hurt Nebula and never even thought twice about it. And then they become sisters in the end, like real sisters. And also her relationship with Star-Lord keeps growing, and in Infinity War it grows even more. Then we have Drax, and Drax, I think he's kind of a major downgrade in this movie. Now, he was already really funny in the first movie, and in this movie he's hysterical. Like, he's so funny in this movie, but the problem is that he's just a big joke now. I guess they do have this one moment where you realize how much sadness he holds in, but he never says it to the audience outright or to anyone else. But still, he's kind of just a joke now. He's just the comic relief now. But you still feel for him. Then we have Rocket, and he's actually pretty great in this movie because he's kind of an asshole the entire movie. But then Yondu kind of talks some sense into him, and they realize that they're actually kind of similar. They have a lot in common. And that Yondu's like, well, it doesn't matter that you're an asshole because people still love you in the end for who you are. And that's kind of cheesy, but I mean, it's a nice message, I guess. Just be yourself. People will still love you. And we also get a little more backstory about him. Then we have Groot. And after dying in Guardians 1, he becomes Baby Groot in this one. And Baby Groot, I'm kind of mixed about. He's a good character because he actually puts everybody in a parenting position, and everybody has to look out for him the whole movie. And Baby Groot has some really funny moments, but he's not really as good as the original Groot. Because there's no like emotional moments with him or anything. Then we have Nebula, and Nebula is pretty great in this film actually. She's improved a lot. She was just this psycho that screamed a lot in the first movie, but in this movie she's actually pretty great because she reveals that all the time that Gamora was beating her in battle for Thanos, Nebula just wanted to have a sister the entire time. And they actually become sisters later, like I said, so she actually gets her wish. Then we have Yondu, and Yondu is a really great character. He's improved a lot too. In the first movie, he didn't really do much, but in this one, he's basically Peter's dad, like I said. And he's also just like, in the beginning of the movie, Yondu's old teammates, they kind of discourage him for breaking the Ravager code, for going soft on Peter. That's the thing, Yondu is kind of torn between being a Ravager and taking care of Peter. And so he chooses taking care of Peter, and the Ravagers still show up for his funeral when he sacrifices himself in the end. And it's actually one of the most compelling deaths in the MCU, so it's pretty sad. Then we have Mantis. She's basically a new part of the Guardians. She's a new Guardian, basically, along with Nebula. And she doesn't really do anything. She doesn't really ever do anything in these movies. She's just kind of a side character who's pretty funny along with Drax. But, she's a nice addition, I guess. I did find it kind of weird that they have this whole subplot about Drax just, like, calling her ugly the entire time. It seemed kind of random, but I don't know. It was kind of funny, so whatever. Then we have, like, I guess we can talk about another side character, Kraglin, played by Sean Gunn. He is just a little side character. He's a Ravager that is always sticking to Yondu's side, even when everybody else is doing a mutiny. And Kraglin takes over for Yondu as the captain at the end of the movie, so it's really cool. Then here's the last character I'm going to talk about, Ego. So Ego is revealed to be Star-Lord's dad, and he's a Celestial. And I don't really think he's a great villain. He doesn't really have any real motivations. Basically, his motivations are, I want to make the universe in my own image, and that's it. So it's not that great. But you still kind of feel for him because you can tell he still wants to be a dad. But when you plant a tumor in your girlfriend's head, that doesn't exactly make you a good villain. It just, you did it for no reason whatsoever. I don't get why they did that. Why did you do that? It doesn't make you a compelling villain at all. It just makes you an asshole. And also, it's kind of obvious. You can kind of see it coming. Because he kind of clouds Peter's judgment and makes him fight with his friends a lot. And then I guess we can talk about the Sovereign. The Sovereign are these villains that Rocket caused. And they're not really villains. They're just trying to get revenge on the Guardians because they stole from them. So that's all I have to say about that. But you can get frustrated at Rocket for doing that, but it makes sense with his character, so you can't really get mad too much. And it looks like the Sovereign are going to create Adam Warlock. I don't know anything about him, but he seems like he's really powerful from what I've heard. So we'll see. That should be interesting in Guardians 3. So something else that I like about this movie is the visuals. It's so colorful. This movie's beautiful to look at. Like Ego's Planet in particular, with like the bubbles and all the flowers and the monuments and stuff. It's all really pretty to look at. And the Guardians theme is also really good. I really like the soundtrack. And the pop songs might even be better in this movie. And they might even be more emotional because Ego destroys the Walkman, and you can even see the even deeper the connection that Peter had with his mom, so it's even more sad him listening to it all the time. And it seems like all the other team like the music now, so that's cool. Also, this movie is just as funny, if not funnier, than the first one. And we all love the Guardians humor, so that's great. So, overall, I don't think it's as good as the first one. Nothing can top the first Guardians, let's be real. But this was still a great movie, and I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review, then maybe leave a like and subscribe. That'd be pretty cool. Tomorrow we move on to Spider-Man Homecoming, one of my personal favorites. So yeah, bye guys.